The 5th of August, Rabbi Furst, Pierke, Avos.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. As Lou mentioned, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst. She was Manavshi here in Shlaim Kirk Zoom. This is our first year this morning. We're in Pirkei Avos, a digression. We're learning about from the Maharal in Prague the Gezerah on the offspring. That's us of Avram Avinu, that we had to go to Mitzrayim and be enslaved. What was the reason of the Gezerah? What was the cause? Why did it happen? That's what the Maharal in Prague is in the middle of explaining to us, and we'll learn more about that in just a moment. I'm going to put it on the screen. Here we are. Okay, you got it right there. Okay. So we just learned that it wasn't possible, meaning one of the main questions the Maharal was discussing was that that if Avram Avinu did something wrong, that Hakadosh Baruch Hu decided he needed an einish for, so why take it out on his children and his offspring when they didn't do the sin? Why should they pay the price? Right. So we say, first of all, if the sin that was done required gullus, exile, and servitude, so that wasn't shaykh to be done to Avram Avinu, right? Because that would mean if he would go down, that means his offspring coming out with Rechush Gadol, that would include Yishmael and Esav, and they would therefore also have a portion in Eretz Israel. So that couldn't be. So therefore, Avram Avinu himself could not go down to Mitzrayim. Okay, so he couldn't go down. So let's just see how he can do it some other way. Why take it out on the Jewish people? So let's see what we have to see about that. Yeah, that's therefore we're starting with this paragraph, about 5 paragraphs in the paragraph beginning with the words Lechach lo yard Yaakov ima shvatim bilvad.
Okay, should I read?
Yes, if you'd like, unless the mayor would like to read, whoever would like to read, that's quite okay with me.
It's fine, Lou.
Thank you, Mayor. L'chach lo yared Yaakov im ha-shvatim bilvad. Therefore, we only see that Yaakov Yaakov went down with the Shvatim alone.
No, therefore he did not, Yaakov, go down only with the Shvatim. He went down, look at the end of the last paragraph, right? Shivim Nefesh, he went down with 70 people, right?
Oh, right.
Went down with his whole family. Not just with why not just to take the boys down?
Yeah, lo yared. He did not go down. He lo yared Yaakov im ashvatim. Yaakov did not go down with the Shvatim alone. Ki kasher hayu yud bet Shvatim. Lo hayu mish o vadim
Mishubadim.
mishubadim lishum oma lemalas hashvatim. Since when there were 12 Shvatim, they were not they were not obligated because of they're saying
Because of the milas hashvatim, because of the virtues of the shvatim, meaning, as we know, as long as one of the shvatim, meaning Levi, was the last of the brothers to be alive, as long as anyone of the shvatim were alive, it was not possible for the shibud, the enslavement, to begin. Because the shvatim had certain virtues which made it impossible for them to be enslaved.
well, why does it say 12? You just said when there was, as long as there was still one.
But it doesn't say meaning anyone of the 12.
Okay, so what do we say? Yaakov didn't go down alone. Because when there were 12 Shvatim, the enslavement could not happen because of the virtues of the Shvatim. That seems like a non sequitur.
No, there were certain characteristics that the Shvatim possessed, which made it impossible to enslave them.
But what does that have to do with the fact that he didn't go down with them alone?
No, because therefore there were other people there that didn't possess those virtues. So therefore, the shibud could possibly begin with those other people.
Right. So he didn't go down with the Shvatim alone because with the Shvatim there couldn't be enslavement.
Right.
I don't get it. If he went down with them alone, there also wouldn't have been enslavement. So what's the point of saying he didn't go down with them alone?
When he went there, if he would have gone with just the 12 Shvatim, so that would have been a situation that would stop the shibud from becoming active on the Klal Yisrael, because the Shvatim possessed, didn't go into details what it was, there are certain virtues of the Shvatim which made them immune to enslavement. So, had they gone down there just the Shvatim and Yaakovinu, it would have been a situation where the shibud could not be established. Therefore, had to go down with other people besides the Shvatim, and since they went down as a mixed group, that in some way now allowed the enslavement to eventually be activated on those who would remain in Klal Yisrael at that point.
I see. Okay. V'lo haya lahem shum shitof im mitzrayim ad shehayu shivaim nefesh az hayu Yecholim ha Mitzrayim lish avad, and there were not, for them, it was not for them anything. What is shetov?
Any cooperation or partnership with the Egyptians.
With the Egyptians, until there was, there were 70 souls. Then they were able the Egyptians the
Egyptians were able to enslave them.
Lishavad is to enslave.
Yeah, Shibud is enslavement, right?
So there was no cooperation with the Egyptians until there were 70 souls. Then the Egyptians were able to enslave them.
Right.
Even though some of those 70 souls were the 12 Shvatim.
Right. But since there were other people there as well, so in certain ways, they apparently would mix and associate with the Egyptians. And through that association, now it became possible for the enslavement to begin.
But I thought we just said that the enslavement couldn't begin until all the brothers had died.
That's true. But the potential already existed, since there was already intermixing between the Egyptians and the Bnei Yaakov already. So the potential already existed. Whereas if it was just the 12 that went down there, there'd be no potential because there'd be no intermixing at all.
He b'masafek hazeh nimtza liYisrael shetof im ha'omos kemo shidarsho zal. So since from a doubt.
No, that's mispar, not misafek. He b'mispar hazeh nimsa Yisrael shutef ima umos. With this mispar is the 70. 70, right? 70 there are 70 nations. There are 70 neshamos that went to Mitzrayim. That's not a coincidence, right? The fact that there were 70 nations and it corresponded with the 70 nefesh of Yaakov, that's very significant.
Okay, so we've got the 70 with the Jewish people. What is Shetov?
Not to be associated with the Umas, the nations. That numeration, that number of 70 is a connotation of the Jewish association with the rest of the nations.
So the fact that there were 70 Jews associates the Jewish people with the nations.
Right. Also, the if you remember on Sukkot, the total number of parim that are sacrificed on Sukkot are 70. And that corresponds to the 70 nations. Right, Mary? You remember that, right?
Yep, it's true.
Okay, so, and this is like it was derived by the sages. Yatsav Guvulos Amim Lemispar B'nai Yisrael. What is Yatsav?
This is Yatsav, I think it's like demarcated. It's demarcated the limits of the nations. The Mispar B'nai Israel. I think that's a pasuk. 1 second. One second. Yeah. That's a pasuk in Divine in the Parshas Ha'azinu. You have your Divine nearby. We just started that this week. That's in Perek Lamed Beis. Pasuk Ches.
Lamed Beis. That's 8. When the Supreme One gave nations their portion, when he separated the children of man, he set the borders of peoples according to the number of the children of Israel.
Oh, there we go.
So that's what this is referring to, the 70 people who came down to Mitzrayim.
That's right. That's an important correspondence.
Okay, it's interesting. All right, so where are we now? Let's see. So he demarcated the limits of the nations for the 70 children of Israel. Gvulos, Amim, Haim, Ayin, Omos, L'mispar, B'nai Yisrael, Shehem, Ayin, Nefesh, Yaakov, Uvanav. So the boundaries of the nations, they are 70. nations for 70 children of Israel. They are 70 souls, Yaakov and his children. Ukasher Hayu Yisrael Ayin Nefesh Az Omer Mitzrayim Shehi Achas Me Ayin Omos Misnagad Misneged Lahem Mitzad Hashevoi Shebenehem. Okay, so when there were in Israel 70 souls, these 70 souls, the nations of Egypt, they were one from 70 nations. Misnaged, is that like Keneged, like corresponding to?
Yeah, that's right.
Corresponding to them from the perspective of, what is this word, Hashavui?
That's the Hashavui Shibanim, the equality between them, the equality between them. Now let's take a look at this again. It says Gevulus Amim Heim Ainumus, the Mr. B'nai Israel, meaning the limitation or the boundary of the nations is 70 nations, corresponding to the amount of the B'nai Israel, which are also 70 souls of Yaakov and his sons. When Klal Yisrael was that sum of 70 souls, as Umos Mitzrayim Hayu Achas Me'ayin Umos. Then at that point, Mitzrayim, they were one of the 70 nations. Misnagid Shem Mitzav Shavir Shemeneim. They were now some type of equation between the two of them. There's some type of an equation between Mitzrayim, representing the rest of these 70 nations, and the 70 members of the family of Yaakov Avinu. Okay.
Aval,
Have to see. Yeah, Aval, go ahead.
Aval Kasher Hayu Yud Bet Shvatim Shvatim Kavan She'ein Ha'omos I'm sorry, Madreg Gasam B'mispar Zeh. But when there were 12 tribes, since that they were not the nations Madrika sum is the levels of these 70.
That when it would be that you have the 12 Shvatim, which ain't almost Madrega some b'mispazeh, right? If you would have 12 shvatim, you wouldn't have a correspondence in the nations according to this uh, um, amount.
So if we had 12 Shvatim, we wouldn't have 70 Madrigas.
Right.
Lo haya efshar, the Mitzrayim, vish avad Israel. And it would not have been possible for Egypt to enslave Israel. Ki osa ha mala, he dis hafratis shehem Avos v'yud bet shvatim lo haya l'mitzrayim shitoth ama ima klal, because those virtues. What is this word? Dis.
Okay. You have when it would if it would be that it would only be the 12 shvatim, since you don't have the correspondence to the 70 almost 70 nations, why you actually Mitzrayim l'shabed Yisrael? It wouldn't be possible for the Egyptians to enslave Israel. He ha'osa maila yechidis hapratis shehem avos v'yud beis shvatim lo hayu mitzrayim l'shatefim klal, because that virtue, that singular yechidis, that singular virtue, hamayla, virtue, yechidis, that singular, unique virtue, that they were the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and also the Yud Beis Shvatim. Because of that, the Mitzrayim could not join with them. They would not be able to associate with them at all.
So in other words, the Jews would be so different from the Egyptians that there'd be no association between the two groups.
Right. The singular uniqueness of the Shvatim would be so disproportional to that of the Egyptians, they never be able to join, they couldn't even associate together.
The Ein Devar.
It's only when we are like the Goyim, when we lose our uniqueness, our singular, distinct uniqueness, when we lose that, at that point, then the non-Jews have the ability to associate with us, and then therefore they're able to enslave us. Most recent history by the Holocaust, that prior to the Holocaust, you never had such a total, absolute assimilation in the history of the Jewish people. And because of that, they were allowed to do a complete and absolute annihilation, almost. Shemirachim. That was the correspondence. To the extent that we lost our unique distinction and became assimilated amongst the Goyim, it was to that extent that they were able to control, enslave, and almost annihilate us.
The aim
As
of
long as we keep our distinction, as long as we maintain our uniqueness, it's impossible that the non-Jews can have any control over us. Right. Ain't Deborah Paul, go ahead.
Ein davar po'al b'davar ella im yesh beinehem shavui umitzad zeh yigia hashibud kamo she'amarnu. There is not a, what is po'el, a worker?
Like here it means, excuse me. Here it means like an effect. Ain't davar poil b'davar Elohim came b'nei shavya. Something cannot affect something else unless there is some equality between the two. So, right? Ain't davar poil b'davar. Something cannot affect something else. Elohim, unless there is b'nei shavya, unless there is some equality between the two or some association between the two. So simply impossible that the non-Jews can have any effect on the Jewish people unless we lose our distinction, our uniqueness, and if we become like them. So if we become like them, if we assimilate amongst them, then at that point there is some type of equality between the two of us. And once there's an equality between the two of us, then they can affect us. And they can enslave us. And they can, Has V'Shalom, do the worst. But if we maintain our distinction, our uniqueness, then it's impossible, completely impossible that they can have any effect upon us.
ומצד זה הגיע השיבוד כמו שאמרנו. And from this perspective, what is this word, yigia?
Yigia means to literally means like to reach. Mitzad ze yigia hashibud kamo shamar, and because of this, it came to a situation of enslavement.
ולפיכך, כאשר היו עין נפש, ירדו מצרים, להיאוסם תחת מצרים, V'habein zeh ma'od. And therefore, since there were 70 souls that went down to Egypt, and they were there under Egypt, and V'habein zeh ma'od, and they were very much children.
No, Havain, look from Havana. Understand this very much.
Understand. Havain. So
So
no,
that,
this is important.
yeah, right. So therefore, Fika Hayukah Ayin Nefesh. Therefore, when it was 70 people, Yardlin Mitzrayim, that went down to Mitzrayim, Yosam Tachas Mitzrayim, and therefore those 70, they could have now been subjugated by the Egyptians. Because if it would just be the Shvatim, it would be impossible. There would be no possibility of any assimilation of the Shvatim with the Egyptians. But if they went down with 70, and now it was a bit distilled, the uniqueness and the distinction of the Jewish people, so there would now existed the potential that they should be enslaved. Okay.
Roger?
Okay, we did.
We
I'm not sure we'll finish this part, but we'll start.
Okay. ומפני כך יבוא כל הדברים בסדר מאוד. And because of this, they went all of the things in an order with Seder Ma'od. Ma'od is
Okay, one second. ומפני כך יבוא כל הדברים בסדר mode, and because of this, we're going to now list all the events in a very orderly fashion.
He Eitzel Abraham lo nizkar shum gerus. Because by Abraham we don't recall.
Not mentioned. It's not mentioned.
Is not mentioned any conversion.
Well, here Gerus is like to be a ger, to be a stranger.
But concerning Abraham, we don't talk about being a stranger. Rock,
Right.
Yitzchak, the Elach, only from Yitzchak and onwards.
Right.
When do we talk about Gerus concerning Yitzchak? He never left Israel.
Right, but he still was when if you remember, he had to go to the Eretz Philistine. Hashem came to him in a dream and said, "Don't go down to Mitzrayim." Right? But nevertheless, he still was a sojourner in by Avimelech, by Eretz Philistine.
But Abraham was a sojourner by Mitzrayim.
That was only like a temporary thing. He wasn't going. He wasn't there because there's no food in Canaan to do with famine.
Right, but wasn't the same thing with Yitzhak?
Yeah, but
permanent.
no, but he settled there. Remember, he dug the wells and all that. Remember?
I thought that was after he left that he dug the wells.
No, but he was still in the Eretz Philistine.
Oh,
He didn't stay directly with them.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you're still in that in that land.
Okay. The kasher ayu ayin nefesh az yerdu mitzrayim mitzrayim. And that there were 70 souls that went down to Mitzrayim. Latam Asher Nis Bar Bismoch, for the reason that I don't know, Nisbar Bismoch, I don't know.
That Ukasher Hayu Ayin Nefesh, and that when it would be that they were now 70 people, Az Yardu Mitzrayim, they now went to Mitzrayim. Tamashe Yizbar B'Sama, and because of the reason that we've explained just adjacently, we just explained previously.
Oh, Bisamuk, close to it. Okay, I see.
Right.
These are explained close. Umipnei ki lo hayu Yaakov uvanav roim lemitzrayim mitzad atzmam. And since Yaakov and his sons were not roim, seeing Egypt.
Since and because since Yaakov one of Roim Lemitzrayim Mitzad Atzma, they were not appropriate. Yaakov Avinu and his sons were not appropriate at all for Mitzrayim on their own, only on their own. There's no reason that they should be there in Mitzrayim because of themselves.
Rak bima she niklalo ba'ayin nefesh haisa hatzua min Yaakov l'sha'as oso achar moso le'eretz Canaan achar she nivdal hatziruf hazeh shehaya niklal be'ayin nefesh v'zehu lachar moso. Only with what included 70 souls that were going out from Yaakov, Lishas at the time. Oh, so at that time,
At that time,
after what is Moso?
after his death, the Eretz Canaan, meaning that Rak Bimash and Nichlalo, they weren't really appropriate to be in Mitzrayim, either Yaakov nor his sons, the 12 sons, to be in Mitzrayim at all, except because of the fact that they had to be included in the 70 people, that they were Hatzava, Hotzah, Min Yaakov. They were the stemming out from Yaakov. The says so that they had to carry him to Eretz Canaan after his death. That's maybe I'll tell you what, we're probably worthwhile to stop here. We'll pick this up. I'll start this paragraph again tomorrow. Okay, because we need to go through this slowly. And let's take a short break. We'll start the Mishnah Berurah shortly, Mitzvah Shem. And thank you, Lou. Very good. And Mayor, we'll see you in a few minutes. Let's stop here for the time
Okay,
being.
very good. Yeshkayach Lev.
Baruch Meir. Thank you, Rabbi. See you.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. We'll see you soon.